These 25 keyboard shortcuts in DaVinci Resolve are going to speed up your editing and literally save you hours and hours of clicking. Let's jump in Resolve. We're in DaVinci Resolve and I'm in the Edit tab. The first keyboard shortcut is this. If you want to jump around DaVinci Resolve really quick and easy, you're going to want to use your Shift key and all of the number keys. Shift number 1 is going to bring up your project manager. Shift number 2 is going to bring you to the Media tab. Shift number 3 is going to bring you to the Cut tab. Shift number 4 is going to bring you to the Edit tab. Shift number 5 is going to bring you to Fusion. Shift number 6 is going to bring you to the Color tab. Shift number 7 is going to bring you to Fusion. Shift number 8 is going to bring you to the Deliver tab. And Shift number 9 is going to go ahead and bring up your project settings. So believe it or not, that's all part of tip number 1. I know a lot of keyboard shortcuts in there, but that's all tip number 1. And I'm going to use Shift number 4 to get back to the Edit page. Tip number 2 here, zooming in and out on your timeline. Now you can do this with your mouse, but the keyboard shortcut is this, Command or Control plus zooms in, Command or Control minus zooms out. I use these all the time. It's probably the most frequently used zooming tool in DaVinci Resolve on my timeline here, and that is Command and Control plus and minus to zoom in and out. The next tip is when you need to move your playhead 1 frame to the left or to the right. I do this all the time, and if you just use your arrow keys, it's going to move the playhead frame by frame to the left and to the right. I can zoom in so we can see it a little bit better, moving frame to frame to the right and frame by frame to the left. The next keyboard shortcut is if you want to jump your playhead 1 second ahead or back, you're going to go ahead and hold your Shift key and use the arrow keys, and that's going to jump you ahead 1 second. If you look at my time code over there, we're jumping forward and backward 1 second by holding Shift and your arrow keys. The next keyboard shortcut here is moving a clip frame by frame to the left or to the right. To do that, you're going to select your clip and you're going to use your period and comma keys to bump it left and right. So with your clip selected, the comma key is going to bump your clip 1 frame at a time to the left, and the period key is going to bump it 1 frame to the right so that you can place it exactly where you need it. Use that one all the time. Tip number 6 is moving your playhead from keyframe to keyframe on a clip. Check this out. So on this clip right here, I've got some keyframes and I can see them by clicking on the little diamond. See my keyframes here, and if I want to move the playhead to the keyframes, I can use the bracket keys to move from keyframe to keyframe. So the left bracket key moves your playhead left to the keyframes. Your right bracket key moves the playhead to the right. So you can easily and quickly jump right to any one of the keyframes. If you have your clip not on a keyframe, you just hit that bracket key and it's going to automatically jump the playhead right to one of those keyframes. Then you can go ahead and make any changes you might need to. Keyboard shortcut number 7 is this. If I want to select everything in my timeline really quick and easy, your playhead can be wherever you want, and I'm going to use Command or Control A. And that's going to select everything in my timeline. I can then move everything all at once by just clicking and dragging it to wherever I want it to be. I use that one all the time. Actually, I use all these keyboard shortcuts all the time if I'm being honest. Keyboard shortcut number 8 is when you want to put your playhead in a specific spot on the timeline and select everything forward from the playhead. There's a keyboard shortcut for that. In this case, I've got my playhead right here. I want to select everything in front of that. I'm going to use Option Y, and it's going to select everything past the playhead. Now, one little caveat to that is that if your clip goes behind the playhead, kind of like this music clip here, it's going to select that too. So you'd either have to make a cut here, or if you didn't want to select your music clip, you could just hold your Command key or Control key and just deselect that one particular clip. Then you can grab all those other clips and move them wherever you might like. Keyboard shortcut number 9 is if you want to do the opposite. Take that playhead and select everything before it. Again, my playhead's right here in the timeline. I'm going to use Command Y, and it's going to select everything before that. Now, if it is touching a clip, sometimes it's going to grab that extra clip like it did right here. So to deselect that, I can just use my Command or Control key, click on that, and then it gets deselected. And now I can take these clips and do whatever I want with them. Keyboard shortcut number 10 is disabling a clip. And I do this all the time when I'm trying to see what I want to put where in my timeline. So for example, if I've got this clip right here and it's on top of this one and I want to kind of see what's going on underneath it, I'm going to hit the letter D to disable the clip. And this way I can see what's going on underneath it. Now this will disable both the video and the audio, so you might want to turn it back on, and you can always change the opacity of the video portion of the clip if you don't want to see the clip, but you want the audio. But the letter D is going to disable any clip that you select. You can disable as many as you want, and you just hit letter D to re-enable that clip whenever you might want to. Oh, by the way, I have all of these written down in a PDF document that you can go ahead and download from my Shopify store. So if you want that freebie, head on over there, check it out. You can download it, have all these written down, and it'll make it nice and easy for you to have a little list that you can use these keyboard shortcuts while you're working. Keyboard shortcut number 10 here is a 3-part shortcut, and that is the J, K, and L keys. I use these all the time, probably more than anything else when I'm trying to play through my timeline. Forward, backwards, slow-mo, stop, fast, fast forward. So here's how you do it. The L key is going to play forward in your timeline. If you press it multiple times, it'll speed up the playback. K is going to stop the playback, and J is going to play in reverse. And again, we can press J a few times, and it's going to go backwards even quicker. I'm going to press K to stop. And if I wanted to go frame by frame, I could hold the letter K and press the J or L keys. And then if I use L, I'm going to go forward frame by frame. And if I use J, I'm going to go backwards frame by frame. And keep in mind, that's pressing the K key, hold it down, and then press J and L, and it'll bump you one way or the other depending on which key you use. So that's pretty much how I always navigate around the timeline when I'm playing back. I use the space bar, to play forward sometimes. Most of the time it's J, K, and L, and my hand's always there to move forwards, backwards, fast forward, and just get the playhead to where I want it to be in the timeline. Keyboard shortcut number 12 here is probably familiar to you. It is copy and paste attributes, which is one of my favorite keyboard shortcuts. So in Resolve here, I can select a clip. I can use Command or Control C, and then I can use Command or Control V to paste that clip. But you notice it writes over top of my existing clips in my video track 1. One way around that is to either lock my track number 1, or I can turn off the auto track selector here, which makes that track not respond to things like copying, pasting, cutting, and that kind of stuff. And this way, if I now paste it using Command or Control V, it'll paste it into track number 2. So that's your normal copy and paste. Now, paste attributes, one of my favorites here, is a way to take the attributes of the clip, like your zoom, your scale, your whatever you might have done to your clip, copy that and paste it onto another clip. So in order to do that, I'm going to come to a clip where I made a few changes. So this clip right here. You can see in the inspector, I changed the zoom a little bit, I changed the pitch a little bit, and let's just for fun, we'll rotate it, we'll do that. So I want to copy these attributes, right? So in order to do that, I'm going to select my clip, use my standard copy, which is Command or Control C, and I'm going to go to the new clip that I want to paste these attributes to, and I'm going to use Option or Alt plus the letter V. Then I'm going to get this right here, and it's going to allow me to select the things that I want to paste, the attributes I want to paste, onto this new clip. So most of the time, I'm going to use all the settings that I have. So I'm going to click all the video attributes. But if you don't want everything to copy and paste, you can just select the ones you want to paste. It's pretty easy. And then just hit apply, and boom, there we go. I've got the attributes from my one clip pasted onto my other clip. I use that one all the time, like all the time, every video, all the time. Since we're talking about keyboard shortcuts really quick, did you guys know that Logic Keyboard makes a keyboard that's got all of the DaVinci Resolve shortcuts on there? Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. This keyboard's pretty good. I mean, I've been using it for a while. I like it a lot. And if you're looking to learn the keyboard shortcuts, you might want to pick up a keyboard like this, because all you have to do is look at it. It tells you whether you got to use the Shift, the Command, the Control, the Option, the Alt, plus whatever key. It tells you which ones you got to do with what and what combinations. So it's really handy to help you learn how to use the keyboard shortcuts, help you remember what they are, because you just have to look right in front of you. You don't even have to try and figure it out. So I just want to throw that in there if you need a cool keyboard that works nice and has the DaVinci Resolve keyboard shortcuts on it. You might want to check out the DaVinci Resolve keyboard. And no, it's not sponsored. I just been using the keyboard for a little while, and that's why I thought to make this video. So check it out if you're interested. I'll leave a link in the description below. Keyboard shortcut number 13 here is one of my faves. I've actually remapped this to 2 different keyboard shortcuts instead of the default keyboard shortcuts, because it was a little too many keys. It was like 3 keys. So I changed it to the letter Q and the letter W. But here's what it is. We want to make a cut and ripple delete our clips to the left or to the right. So if I'm hovering over a clip here and I want to make a cut right here and delete this portion of the clip and ripple delete, so it means push everything over in the timeline, I'm going to press my Q key and it'll make a cut and ripple delete, push everything over. And if I undo that, if I use my W key, it's going to make a cut and delete everything to the right. So make a cut here and delete everything on this side. And then it slides everything over for me. Now I remap those keyboard shortcuts myself. If you want to see what your shortcut is for this particular feature here, if you just come on up to the trim menu and then you come down to Ripple, and right here you're going to see start to playhead and end to playhead. So I remap them to Q and W. The default is something like Shift Command Bracket or something like that. You'll see right here, it'll say whatever yours is, and if it's the default, it's going to say it right here. But I remapped mine to W and Q because it makes it a little bit quicker when I'm trying to edit quickly. And just to add in another keyboard shortcut here, I remapped the razor tool. So this right here, by default, this is, it says it's B. I remap this to be S. So when I want to go through my timeline quickly, I can put my playhead wherever I want. I can press S to make a cut. I can move ahead a little bit. And then I can use Q and W to quickly edit different points in my clip here or my timeline. And it just allows me to edit real quickly using 3 fingers. So I can put a finger on the Q, the W, and the S and just go through and edit really quickly. So that's a little extra bonus there, remapping the razor tool to the S key and just being able to just kind of cruise through real quick and make cuts and then ripple delete forward and backward. I use those all the time. Keyboard shortcut number 14 is trim to start and trim to end. So this comes in handy if you have your playhead somewhere on a clip and you want to delete the first part of the clip or the second part of the clip, either before or after the playhead, but not move anything. We do have the ability to be able to do that with a keyboard shortcut. In order to use this keyboard shortcut, you're going to go ahead and select your clip. You're going to hold Shift and the bracket key. If you use the left bracket key, it's going to delete the left portion of your clip. Just going to undo that real quick. And if we use Shift and our right bracket key, select the clip, Shift, right bracket, it's going to delete the right-hand side of the clip. So really handy if you don't want anything to move, you just want to cut and delete the rest of the clip either before or after the playhead. That's the keyboard shortcut to do it. Keyboard shortcut number 15. Let's say you wanted to just delete a clip, but you didn't want anything else in your timeline to move. Here's how you do it. Come in your timeline, select your clip, and then just hit your backspace key, not the delete key if you got a big keyboard, the backspace key, and it's going to delete the clip and leave everything else where it is. And you can see now I've got a hole in my timeline there. Now if I undo that with Command or Control Z, which is another keyboard shortcut, not on my list, Command or Control Z, bonus for you there. I think most people know that, right? That's the undo. Control Z on a PC there. Or did you know this one? Shift Command Z or Shift Control Z is going to redo. So if you undo and then you want to redo, you've got Shift Command or Control Z to redo. So yeah, those are just some bonus ones there for you. Literally, there's so many great keyboard shortcuts. Keyboard shortcut number 16 here is if you want to delete the clip and push everything over in your timeline. So you want to ripple delete that particular clip. In your timeline, come and select your clip and you're going to use the delete key, not the backspace key, to delete that clip and move everything over. Boom, there you go. Now, if you don't have the bigger keyboard that has that separate delete key and the backspace key, what you're going to want to do is probably use like there's probably a function button or a, I don't know what it is on PC. On a Mac, it's a function button, and then you can use your backspace key and it'll do the ripple delete instead of just deleting the clip and leaving a gap in your timeline. Keyboard shortcut number 17 is this. Sometimes when you're scrubbing around with your audio, put my headphones on here, you want to hear your audio like this, right? Especially if you're scrubbing around dialogue. Now, if you use Shift S, that is going to turn on and off your audio scrubbing. Sometimes you want it, sometimes you don't. And a lot of times you just hit this keyboard shortcut by mistake. And then you're like, why can't I hear my audio when I'm scrubbing around my playhead? So Shift S is going to turn it on and off. We hear it now. And if I hit Shift S, nothing. And a lot of times this gets hit by mistake. And then you can't figure out why can't I hear my audio. There's no audio. What's the deal? Although when you play it back, it still works okay, but that Shift S is going to turn on and off your audio scrubbing. So that's a really handy one to know. Keyboard shortcut number 18 here. Y'all love your transitions, right? You want to be able to drop in a transition with a keyboard shortcut? Resolve has you covered. So when your playhead is in between two clips, you can just select it by either windowing both, or you can just hover over the intersection with this little icon there and you click it, it lights up green. Use Command or Control on a PC, the letter T, boom, there's your transition. Now, what transition does it apply? It's going to apply whatever your default transition is. If you're not sure what your default transition is, just open your effects library really quickly. Come to Video Transitions, and you want to look for the one that's got this little red mark right here. That's going to tell you that's your default transition. By default, it's a crossfade, but let's say you wanted to change it to something else. You could just come to any transition you want, right click and say set as standard transition, and then that will be your standard transition. So whenever you use that keyboard shortcut, that's the transition that will be applied. Now you can also, as a bonus tip here, if you select multiple clips and use Command or Control T, it's going to allow you to put transitions on all those intersections there or where the clips join. But if you have some clips that start at the very beginning or very end of the clips, you might get this message, and it's going to want to know if Resolve can just trim a little bit off of those clips for you. You can go ahead and say OK most of the time, and then boom, there you go. You've got your transitions on there. So adding transitions really quick, either one at a time or multiple at a time there with the keyboard shortcut Command or Control T. Keyboard shortcut number 19, setting in and out points with keyboard shortcuts. I do this all the time, especially if I've got two viewers open and maybe I'm looking through some media trying to find something. I'm going to use the letter I to set an in point and the letter O to set an out point. Not only does this work in my viewers here, but in my timeline, I can do the same thing. I can set an in point and an out point using the letters I and O on your keyboard. Really great keyboard shortcut. Why? Well, maybe you want to set some in and out points so that you can loop this over and over again. So I can turn on my loop right here. And now if I play through this, once it gets to the end of those in and out points, it'll just keep looping the video over and over. So it comes in really handy. Keyboard shortcut number 20 here, you've done this, you've set in and out points, and you're like, how do I get rid of these darn things? They're in the way, I don't want to look at them. Keyboard shortcut for that. If you want to get rid of them on your timeline like right here, you're going to use Option or Alt X. Boom, it's going to get rid of those in and out points for you. Same thing up here in your viewers, Option or Alt X. Boom, gets rid of all of those in and out points for you. So that's one thing that drives me nuts. Sometimes I accidentally add in a bunch of in and out points. I don't want to do that. I'm going to use that keyboard shortcut to get rid of those in and out points. Works every time. I use it pretty much all the time. All the time. It's a good one. You should use it too. Keyboard shortcut number 21, and that is moving clips up and down in tracks. So if I were to come in here and just select a clip, I want to move it up a track, right? Yeah, I could click it and drag it up, but what if I want to do it with a keyboard shortcut? I can do it. You're going to want to use Option on a Mac or Alt on a PC plus your arrow keys, and that's going to bring the clip straight up and straight down. It's an easy way to just make more tracks. If you go up, Resolve's automatically going to make tracks for you, but you can just move it up and down however you'd like. Same thing with your audio, Option or Alt and your arrow keys up and down, and it's going to move them clips up and down in your timeline. You can select multiple clips if they're staggered, kind of like these guys. It's going to keep them staggered as I move them up and down. You can select multiple, as many as you want, and move them up and down tracks. That's a great one. I use that all the time, especially with audio work when I'm working with sound effects and I want to move them up and down tracks, get everything situated. That's a really handy keyboard shortcut that I use all the time. Keyboard shortcut number 22 is this. Sometimes I want to see my beautiful video full screen. So I'm going to press the letter P on my keyboard, and that's going to make it go full screen for me. I can see the whole thing in all its beautiful glory. And if I want to go back, I press P again, and it goes back into DaVinci Resolve just how you're normally used to looking at it. So P gives you the cinema viewer and lets you see everything full screen. Keyboard shortcut number 23 here, I use all the time as well, and that is to open the retime controls on a particular clip. Maybe you want to speed ramp, speed up a clip, slow down a clip, whatever it might be. This is how you do it. Go to any clip in your timeline, select it, and use Command or Control R, and that's going to open up your speed controls. Once that's open, you can do your normal speed controls, select the things that you want, and if you want to close those speed controls, just hit Command or Control R again, and it's going to go ahead and close up those speed controls for you. So I love that one. I use it all the time. Instead of jumping into the inspector and using the speed controls there, or right-clicking and going to retime controls, I use the keyboard shortcut to get to those retime controls, Command or Control R. Keyboard shortcut number 24, adding markers, and that is the letter M. In your timeline, just press the letter M if you have no clips selected, and that's going to put it on the timeline itself. I use markers all the time for marking out things I need to go back and fix, or YouTube chapters, whatever it might be. But the letter M is going to add it in there. If you have a clip selected, like I select this audio clip and I come over here and I press M, it's going to add the marker on the clip itself. So with no clip selected, it goes onto the timeline, clip selected, the marker goes onto the clip. Now, bonus tip here, if you click M twice, then it brings up your little window here where you can rename the marker. You can add in whatever notes you want. So if I was making a new one, I would just press it M twice. Brings up my marker window there, and I can just put in whatever notes I want, change the color, do any of that stuff. But I use markers like all the time in my YouTube videos, mostly for YouTube chapters, but sometimes too when I have to come back and edit something and I don't want to forget, but I don't want to do it at that time, make a marker, and give myself a little reminder there of what I need to do. Go back to that point, fix this up, and then you're good to go. So markers, the letter M. Keyboard shortcut number 25 here is creating a freeze frame. There's some times where I want to make a freeze frame out of one of my video clips, and there's a keyboard shortcut to do that. So you want to put your playhead wherever you want it to be, and then you're going to use Shift and the letter R. Boom. Now this entire clip is a freeze frame. It's not going anywhere. Nothing's changing. It's a freeze frame. And as a bonus tip here for you, I forget if I even mentioned this one or not, but zooming the entire timeline, I use this one all the time. If you're in your timeline, you're zoomed in a little bit, you want to see the whole thing, use Shift plus the letter Z, and that's going to zoom out your entire timeline and put it on your screen so that you can see everything all at once there. I use that one all the time. So there you have it, 25 keyboard shortcuts here in DaVinci Resolve 19. If you take the time to learn these keyboard shortcuts, they really do speed up your workflow. When you're trying to navigate around, instead of having to hunt through menus and click a lot of stuff, the keyboard shortcuts do a great job of really just kind of speeding things up and keeping things rolling for you. I use pretty much all of these all the time, and I find it super helpful, you know, and after you do it for a little while, you don't even have to think of it. It's like it's muscle memory, you know, you just know where to push in on the keyboard, which keyboard shortcuts to use for what, and just makes it, you know, quicker and a little bit easier when you're editing all your videos here in DaVinci Resolve. And if you are looking for a new keyboard and you want something that's got the DaVinci Resolve shortcuts on it, check out the keyboard by Logic Keyboard. It's great. I've been using it for a while, quite a while actually, and does a great job. And it's actually helped me learn some new keyboard shortcuts. I've been using them a little bit more than before because some I didn't know. But when they're there on the keys, I'm like, oh, okay, let me just hit that then instead of hunting through the menu to find it. So I'll leave a link down in the description below. You can check that out if you're interested. So with that said, are there any keyboard shortcuts I missed that you use all the time? If there is, drop it down below in the comments. Share it with the community. Hey, I might even learn something from you guys too, right? I learn from you guys all the time. All right, with that said, I'm out of here. I will see you in the next video. Peace.